An entitled Karen dumped trash on a royal guard, convinced her wealth made her untouchable, but when the guard issued a single command, she was forced to clean up her own mess, turning her arrogance into the most humiliating moment of her life. Here's what happened. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Also, make sure to check out our second channel, Guard Patrol, linked in the pinned comments, because we upload daily at the same time on both channels. So subscribe to both and never miss a powerful story. The summer sun beat down on the immaculate grounds of Buckingham Palace as a gleaming white Range Rover pulled up to the curb, its tinted windows reflecting the historic facade. The driver, dressed in a crisp uniform, hurried to open the rear door, only to be cut off by an impatient hand shoving it open from inside. God, finally Amber Chase huffed, emerging from the luxury vehicle like a storm cloud in designer clothes. Her perfectly manicured hands adjusted her oversized Jai-Sai sunglasses as she surveyed her surroundings with undisguised disdain. This is it. This is what you dragged me across an ocean to see. To her travel companion, Tiffany, stepped out behind her, smoothing down her own expensive outfit. Come on, Amber, it's Buckingham Palace. It's like super historic and stuff. Amber's lip curled as she watched a group of tourists taking photos. Her own outfit, a pink Chanel blazer over white shorts that cost more than most people's monthly rent, seemed deliberately chosen to stand out among the casual sightseers. At 23, she carried herself with the entitled confidence of someone who had never heard the word no from her wealthy parents. Historic. She drew out the word. It was dirty, more like prehistoric daddy's beach house in the Hamptons. Is bigger than this. She snapped her fingers at the driver, who was still holding her designer shopping bags. Just leave them in the car. I'm not dragging Hermes through whatever this is. The afternoon crowd parted instinctively as Amber and her three friends made their way toward the palace gates. Their heels clicked against the pavement like warning shots, tourists unconsciously creating space around their approach. A young mother pulled her children closer as they passed, something in Amber's bearing setting off natural warning signals. Oh, look at this place. Amber's voice carried deliberately loud across the courtyard. Everything's so old, don't they ever update anything? She gestured dismissively at the centuries-old architecture. I bet they don't even have decent Wi-Fi. A pair of elderly British women exchanged disapproving glances as they passed. Amber caught their look and raised her voice even higher. I mean, seriously, who actually lives in a palace anymore? It's so medieval back home. We tear down old buildings and put up something useful like a Saks Fifth Avenue. Her friends giggled on cue, their own designer outfits and expensive accessories creating a barrier between them and the regular tourists. Tiffany, attempting to read from a guidebook, tried to interject. Actually, the palace has been the official residence of British monarch. Since who cares? Amber cut her off, waving her hand, as if physically batting away the historical information. I didn't fly first class to London for a history lesson. I came because Daddy said I needed some cultural exposure before he gives me my trust fund. The last words dripped with air quotes and contempt. Oh my God, Amber's perfectly glossed lips parted in a mixture of amusement and disbelief as her eyes landed on the royal guard standing at attention. Is this for real? Are we actually supposed to take this seriously? The guard stood motionless, his scarlet tunic and bare skin cap a sharp contrast to the summer sky. Each brass button gleamed with military precision. His bearing, speaking of years of dedicated service, details completely lost on Amber as she sauntered closer, her designer heels clicking against the ancient stones. Hey, hello, she waved her manicured hands in front of the guard's face, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the sunlight. Are you even alive in there, or did they just stuff a mannequin in that ridiculous hat? Her friends clustered behind her, their giggles encouraging her performance. Tiffany pulled nervously at her Fendi bag strap. Amber, maybe we shoulda woulda fun. Amber rolled her eyes dramatically. Come on, this is literally what they're here for. They're like those guys at Disney World, just way less interesting. She turned back to the guard, her voice taking on a patronizing tone. Although Disney characters at least try to be entertaining, an older gentleman in an Aria veteran's cap stepped forward, his face lined with disapproval. Young lady, that uniform deserves what? Amber cut him off with a dismissive wave of fashion makeover. Because seriously, who designed this outfit? It looks like something from a bad Halloween costume shop. She circled the guard, her heels deliberately scuffing the immaculate stonework. I mean, look at this hat. What even is this supposed to be? The guard remained perfectly still, though something in his bearing suggested carefully controlled patience. His eyes stayed fixed forward, years of military discipline evident in every line of his posture. Hey, Jessica, take my picture. Amber called to one of her friends, striking an exaggerated pose next to the guard. Let's show everyone back home how ridiculous London is. She leaned in close to the guard's face, her expensive perfume creating a cloud of intrusion in his personal space. Come on, Mr. Robot, at least try to look alive for the camera. A small crowd had begun to gather, drawn by Amber's increasingly loud performance. Parents guided their children away, while other tourists watched with a mixture of embarrassment and concern. The veteran who had tried to intervene earlier shook his head slowly, his campaign medals catching the afternoon light. "This is so boring," Amber announced to her audience, throwing her hands up in exasperation. Back home, our security guards at least say hello when you talk to them. "What's wrong with this one? Is he like special needs?" Or something. The crowd's murmured disapproval only seemed to fuel her performance. She moved even closer to the guard, her face inches from his "Hello, Earth" to "Weirdo in the funny hat." "Did they forget to program you this morning?" The guard's composure remained unbroken, but there was a subtle shift in the atmosphere, like the pressure changed before a storm. His white-gloved hands maintained their perfect grip on his ceremonial rifle, each finger a study, in controlled restraint. "Oh, I get it." Amber's voice dripped with mock understanding. "You're trying to be all proper and traditional, right? Because that's what this whole country is about, isn't it? Just a bunch of old-fashioned people playing dress-up and pretending they're still important." She turned to her friends, clearly warming to her theme. "I bet this guy wishes he had a real job." Her voice carrying across the courtyard like nails on chalkboard. Instead of just standing here all day like some kind of human statue, she produced a compact mirror from her designer purse, pretending to check her makeup, while actually watching the growing crowd's reaction in its reflection. "Did you know," she continued, snapping the compact shut with deliberate force, "that back home our mall security guards have more authority than these guys, and they at least get to sit down?" She leaned against the nearby wall, her expensive blazer scraping against the historic stonework. "Must be exhausting pretending to be important all day." The veteran who had tried to intervene earlier stepped forward again, this time accompanied by his wife, young woman. "That man has likely served and served what tea and crumpets." Amber's laugh was sharp and deliberate. "Please, the only thing he's serving is tourist entertainment." She pushed off from the wall, her heels scraping against the centuries-old stone. "I mean, look at this outfit. The buttons alone are so last century. And that rifle, pretty sure my dad has better security tech in his garage." The crowd had grown larger now, their disapproving murmurs creating a background chorus to Amber's performance. A group of British school children on a field trip watched wide-eyed as their teacher tried to usher them away, whispering hurried explanations about respect and tradition. Honestly, Amber continued, circling the guard like a predator testing its prey. "This whole setup is just sad. Like, we get you guys used to have an empire or whatever, but now," she gestured expansively at the palace, "now you're just a tourist trap, a really boring one." She reached out, her perfectly manicured fingers hovering inches from the guard's brass buttons. "I wonder if these are even real. They look like something from a dollar store costume." Her hand moved closer, almost, but not quite, touching the immaculate uniform. Amber Tiffany's voice carried a note of genuine concern. "Maybe we should check out the gift shop or something." "Oh my God, you're such a buzzkill." Amber rolled her eyes. "This is literally the most interesting thing that's happened all day. Watch this." She raised her voice, adopting a terrible British accent. "Oh, look at me. I'm a royal guard. I stand here all day pretending to be important while actual important people take selfies with me." The veteran's wife clutched her husband's arm as he made another attempt to step forward. The old soldier's face had gone rigid with controlled anger, his own service medals gleaming in silent rebuke of Amber's mockery. "You know what's really pathetic?" Amber turned to address the crowd directly, now playing to her unwilling audience the fact that they probably think this is actually meaningful. Like, "Hello, it's 2025. Nobody cares about your little costume party anymore." She pulled out her phone, its designer case glittering in the afternoon sun. "Let's document this for posterity. Hey, Mr. Robot." She moved directly in front of the guard, her phone raised high. "Show us your best mannequin impression." "Oh, wait, you're already doing it." The guard's bearing hadn't changed, or there was something different in the air now, attention that even Amber's entitled bubble couldn't completely ignore. The ceremonial rifle in his white-gloved hands seemed to carry more weight, his posture radiating not just tradition, but warning. "God, this is so boring." Amber complained, shoving her phone back into her purse. "Don't they have any guards who actually do anything? Or is this really what British taxpayers waste their money on?" Her eyes scanned the courtyard, looking for new ways to escalate her performance. That's when she spotted a decorative waistband near one of the ancient pillars. A smile spread across her face, the kind of smile that had preceded countless incidents smoothed over by her father's money and influence. "Hey, girls," she called her friends, "want to see something actually entertaining?" Amber's heels clicked against the stone as she made her way to the ornate waistband, her movements carrying the liberate swagger of someone about to do something Monumentally stupid, the crowd watched in growing horror as she wrapped her manicured fingers around the bin's rim designer bracelets, jangling with the effort. Amber, don't Tiffany's protest died in her throat as her friend hoisted the bin with surprising strength, her face twisted in a mask of entitled determination. What? Amber shot back, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. Are they going to arrest me? Please, Daddy's lawyers would have me out before they finished writing the ticket. She balanced the bin against her hip, grimacing slightly at having to touch something so beneath her. Besides, maybe this will finally get a reaction out of Mr. Statue over there. The veteran couple had started moving toward her, but they were too far away to intervene. Other tourists backed away, creating a clear space around what was about to unfold. Parents covered their children's eyes, while several people raised their phones not to record, but to call for help. Watch this, Amber announced to her increasingly uncomfortable friends. Let's see how well he maintains that perfect posture when he's covered in. She peered into the bin with exaggerated disgust. Whatever peasant trash is in here. The guard remained motionless, but there was a new tension in his bearing, like a coiled spring waiting to be released. His white-gloved hands hadn't moved on his ceremonial rifle, but their grip had subtly shifted. Years of military training, preparing for what was coming. Seriously, Amber, this is going too far. Jessica, another of her friends, tried to reason with her. We could get in real trouble. Oh my God, you're all such babies. Amber's voice rose with frustration. This is exactly what's wrong with this whole country. Everyone's so worried about rules and respect and all that garbage. She hoisted the bin higher, her expensive blazer now stained with grime. Well, I've got some trash to deliver. The afternoon sun caught the guard's brass buttons as Amber positioned herself, her face flushed with the effort and excitement. The crowd's protest had died to horrified silence, like the moment before a car crash when everyone can see what's coming but no one can stop it. Hey, Mr. Important, she called out, her voice echoing off the palace walls. Let's see. How? Well, you guard this. With a grunt of effort and a laugh that bounced off the ancient stones, Amber upended the waste bin. Time seemed to slow as its contents rained down over the guard's immaculate uniform. Discarded water bottles, crumpled papers, half-eaten snacks, and worse, cascaded over his bare skin cap and scarlet tunic. The mess seemed to hang in the air for a moment before gravity took hold, splattering against his polished boots and the hallowed ground around him. The sound of trash hitting stone was deafening in the shocked silence that followed. Even Amber's friends had backed away, their hands covering their mouths in disbelief. The veteran's wife had buried her face in her husband's shoulder, unable to watch this desecration of everything the uniform represented. Amber stood among the scattered garbage, her designer outfit now spotted with debris, but her face glowed with triumphant malice. There, now you actually have something to guard. A pile of trash. She turned to her friends, expecting laughter, but found only horror on their faces. Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Besides, isn't this what their cleaning staff is for? The guard hadn't moved. Trash clung to his uniform, marring centuries of tradition with modern disrespect. A paper cup had come to rest on the brim of his bare skin cap, dripping something dark and sticky down the side. His white gloves, pristine moments ago, were now speckled with stains. The silence stretched, becoming almost solid in its intensity. Even the birds seemed to stop their afternoon songs. The sun slipped behind a cloud, as if nature itself was holding its breath for what would happen next. Then, with mechanical precision, the guard head turned, not the casual movement of a man looking around, but the deliberate motion of a warrior choosing his target. His eyes, previously fixed on the middle distance, now locked onto Amber with disrespect. A paper cup had come to rest on the brim of his bare skin cap, dripping something dark and sticky down the side. His white gloves, pristine moment ago, were now speckled with stains. The silence stretched, becoming almost solid in its intensity. Even the birds seemed to have stopped their afternoon songs. The sun slipped behind a cloud, as if nature itself was holding its breath for what would happen next. Then, with mechanical precision, the guard head turned, not the casual movement of a man looking around, but the deliberate motion of a warrior choosing his target. His eyes, previously fixed on the middle distance, now locked onto Amber with laser focus. In that gaze was not anger, not hatred, but something far more terrifying, a cold, calculated promise of consequences. Amber's smirk began to falter as those eyes bore into her for the first time in her privileged life. She felt a flicker of something unfamiliar. Genuine fear. Escort, the guard's voice cut through the silence like a steel blade, carrying the unmistakable authority of battlefield command. Two of his fellow guards materialized from their posts, moving with synchronized precision to flank Amber. Before she could process what was happening, they created an impassable barrier between her and any hope of escape. Kate, what do you think? Your Amber's protest died in her throat as the first guard stepped forward, garbage sliding off his uniform like Water off steel, his movement wasn't the casual step of someone approaching a nuisance. It was a measured advance of predator cornering its prey. Mrs. Voice was quiet, but carried to every corner of the courtyard. In my 12 years of service, I've been shot at in Helmand Province, ambushed in Baghdad, and faced enemy fire in places your privileged mind couldn't comprehend. His eyes never left her face, as decades of military bearing focused into a single overwhelming presence, but never in. All those years have I encountered such a deliberate display of disrespect on these hallowed grounds. Amber's designer sunglasses slipped down her nose, revealing eyes wide with a sudden realization that she had severely miscalculated. Do you know who my father is? Hill, your father, the guard, cut her off with surgical precision, is not here. And even if he were his wealth, couldn't protect you from this moment of education. He gestured to his soiled uniform. This tunic you just desecrated, each button is polished with the same dedication that keeps this nation safe while you sleep soundly in your expensive bed. These gloves you stained, they've carried wounded comrades from battlefields. You'll never see the veteran step forward as campaign medals catching the light. Listen to him last. That uniform commands respect, not because of tradition, but because of what it represents. Sacrifice you couldn't begin to understand. I don't have to understand anything. Amber attempted to recover her arrogance, but her voice trembled slightly. This is just a stupid ceremony for tourists. You're not even real soldiers, not real soldiers. The guard's voice dropped even lower, becoming more dangerous in its quietness. Yesterday, I was coordinating counterterrorism operations. Tomorrow, I might be deployed to any conflict zone in the world. This ceremony you mock, it's a duty we earned through combat service, through years of proving ourselves worthy to represent centuries of military excellence. He took another measured step forward, and despite herself, Amber retreated until her back at the palace wall. The guard's presence seemed to fill the entire courtyard. His words carrying the weight of every soldier who had ever stood watch over these grounds. You see these stones you're scuffing with your overpriced heels. They've stood through world wars, through bombing raids, through every challenge this nation has faced. And in all that time, no enemy has managed what you just attempted to undermine the dignity of this post through sheer ignorance and disrespect. Amber's friends had backed away, leaving her alone in the circle of her consequences. The afternoon sun emerged from behind its cloud, highlighting the mess she created, and the immaculate bearing of the guard, who now stood as judge, jury, and executor of her comeuppance. So here's what's going to happen. The guard continued, each word dropping like artillery. Fire, you're going to kneel down on these historic stones in your expensive clothes and clean up every piece of garbage you just threw. You're going to do it properly with the same attention to detail we apply to our duties. And you're going to learn through action the meaning of respect. I will not. Amber began, but the guard's next words froze her protest mid-sentence. You will, because if you don't, I will personally ensure that video of your behavior reaches every embassy, every visa office, and every port of entry in the Commonwealth. Your passport will become decorative. Your international travel privileges a fond memory. And then you can explain to your father why his money can no longer buy your way across our borders. The crowd had gone completely silent, witnessing justice being dispensed with military precision. The guard's next movement was almost gentle as he reached down, picked up a discarded paper cup, and held out to Amber. Your choice, miss. Clean up your mess and leave here having learned something valuable, or deal with consequences that not even your father's platinum cards can erase. Which will it be? Amber stared at the cup, then at her expensive manicure, then at the unrelenting eyes of the guard. For the first time in her life, she faced a situation where money, influence, and Clement held no power. The lesson had begun, and her only choice was how thoroughly she would learn. The guard didn't move, didn't speak again, just stood there holding out that paper cup like a sword of Damocles over her privileged existence. The silence stretched, broken only by the sound of her expensive bracelet jingling as her hand slowly, reluctantly reached out to take it. The first touch of garbage against her manicure-cured fingers made Amber recoil, as if she'd been burned. This is disgusting, she protested, but her voice had lost its earlier authority. I can't believe you're making me. Each piece. The guard interrupted, his voice carrying the same commanding presence, must be picked up individually. No rushing, no shortcuts. Consider this your first lesson in attention to detail. His white-gloved hand gestured to the scattered mess. Perhaps while you work, you can reflect on how it feels to clean up the consequences of your own actions. Amber's knees touched the historic stones, her designer shorts collecting dust as she reached for another piece of trash. Her friends had retreated to the edges of the crowd, their phones now conspicuously absent, their earlier encouragement replaced by embarrassed silence. This outfit is worth more than your entire month's salary, she muttered, grabbing a soggy newspaper with obvious disgust. The Guard's response was immediate and cutting. And yet here you are kneeling in a fitting metaphor, wouldn't you say? Money can buy expensive clothes, but it can't purchase dignity. He remained standing over her, his presence a constant reminder of her humiliation. Perhaps you'll think twice next time before assuming wealth equals worth the afternoon sun beat down mercilessly. As Amber continued her task, each piece of garbage she collected was a strike against her pride, each stain on her clothes a mark. Of her lesson, tourists walked past their whispers and stares adding to her mortification. Tiffany. She called out to her friends, a little help here. But Tiffany shook her head, backing away. Further, the guard's voice cut through any hope of assistance. This is your mess, miss. Your lesson. To learn your friends can't buy your way out of this. When a shadow fell across her as she reached for a particularly disgusting food wrapper, just as they couldn't protect you from the consequences of your choices, sweat began to streak her perfect makeup, her carefully styled hair falling in disarray. As she crawled across the stones, the guard's polished boots remained in her peripheral vision, a constant reminder of the authority she had foolishly challenged. I can't believe this. She hissed, her hands now grimy with her own handiwork. When my father hears about this, when your father hears about this, the guard cut in smoothly, he will learn that his daughter received a lesson in respect that no amount of money could purchase. Consider it a free education. In character, the pile of collected trash grew slowly as Amber worked her earlier bravado, completely evaporated. Her friends had finally slipped away entirely, leaving her alone with her shame and the unwavering presence of the guard. The next time you see someone in uniform, the guard continued, his voice carrying just far enough of the surrounding crowd to hear, remember this moment. Remember how it feels to face consequences that can't be dismissed with a credit card. Finally, after what felt like hours, but it was probably only 15 minutes, the last piece of trash had been collected. Amber rose unsteadily to her feet. Her expensive outfit ruined her makeup, smeared her pride in tatters. Am I done now? She asked, her voice small and unfamiliar to her own ears. The guard surveyed the cleaned area with military precision. You're done with the cleaning, yes, but I suspect the lesson is just beginning. He stepped aside, creating a path for her. Retreat you may go, and do remember this uniform, you mocked it, comes with the authority to ensure you never set foot on these grounds again. Amber fled, her designer heels now stumbling rather than clicking. Her perfect poise shattered. Her friends were nowhere to be seen. Her phone was silent, and for the first time in her life, she had faced a power that her father's money couldn't overcome. Behind her, the guard resumed his post, his bearing as immaculate as ever, while the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the now clean courtyard, shadows that seemed to bow in respect to the uniform that had just taught such a powerful lesson. What do you think about this encounter between an entitled tourist and the Royal Guard? How would you have handled such blatant disrespect? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like this video to support more content about respect, tradition, and the unwavering dedication of those who you serve. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories about the Royal Guards, and hit that bell icon to never miss an upload. Check out our recent videos appear on your screen right now to discover more stories that remind us why some traditions deserve our deepest respect. Until next time, remember, true authority doesn't come from what you have, but from what you stand for.